Mm-hmm. And then I went, because seriously, I was a split second from walking from music.
Yeah, you almost quit. Yep.
Because to me, if I'm putting in hours of time, I want some results.
Right.
If I got a good investment, I want results.
Mm-hmm.
If not, I get out of there.
Yeah.
And if I was putting all of this time in music, I was not getting the results. It was like fish or cut bait.
Right.
Do something or get out. And then the universe gave me a sign to stay. Years later, a couple years later, it was, my students are having the same problems I am. They're hitting the same darn wall.
Mm-hmm.
And one day, having taught junior high school English major, I went, I don't think we're reading music. I think we're spelling it.
Mm-hmm.
And people don't realize the seriousness of that. You are going to spell a book?
just go one letter at a time.
And you're going to quit with the first word.
Mm-hmm.
But in music, we were looking at one note after another.
Mm-hmm.
And it didn't make any sense why it was there. Why did we stay with it? We liked the sound. We had this inner pull to do it. And then having taught a language, my brain went, okay, so if it's a language, how do I teach a language? Well, I learn the alphabet, but I don't stop there.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
I go to the words, to the grammar, which is theory in music. Now, what's interesting, I'm also taking guitar lessons. Guitar is chords.
Exactly, and I'm a big guitar player. I played guitar most of my life, and yeah, it's remembering your hand positions.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Hand position.
Mm-hmm.
We were never trained that on piano.
No, I was definitely not.
Mm-mm.
Well, I was taught that you have an apple.
Or an forget
orange.
the apples. I wish they would drop them forever.
Well, this shows how I'm dating myself. I was 5 or 6, and I remember that you were holding something, and it was very uncomfortable.
It gives carpal tunnel.
Oh,
so
I'm
you
sure.
have to look at, see, the thing we don't look at in education, and in business we have to look at the results. Why? If we don't, we go under.
Well, exactly. You got to keep getting better and better and building and building.
You got to look at the bottom line, right?
Mm-hmm. It's like throwing free throws.
In music, well, that's the way it's done. If it's not hard, it's not worth doing. You've got to have pain sometimes. No pain. That's the other thing that pushed me, Sarah, is why don't we in America like classical music as much as they do in Europe?
That's a wonderful question. Yeah, where
now,
are
when
composers?
Vladimir Horowitz, when he was alive, went to Moscow after he had been out, couldn't return to Moscow after he had left because of the communist Iron Curtain.
Mm-hmm.
He was mobbed by teenagers who wanted his autograph.
Oh.
He was 60, 65, 70 years old. And he played at the Moscow Conservatory. The soldiers were trying to keep the people out. They couldn't. And when he was playing, people had their eyes closed and they were crying.
Mm-hmm.
The music was so beautiful. We hear the same music in this country and we go, eh. Vladimir, one time in an interview, said he gets criticized by Americans for his technique. And he said, you want me to play like this? And he raised his wrist like we were trained and have this sound? Or you want me to play and have this sound? No carpal tunnel.
Well, one is very hard to listen to, and harsh to listen to, and the other is lyrical, and it flows much more beautifully.
You see, what happens when you have that darn apple under your hand is you lock the wrist and you force the hand to strike the piano. So you get a harsh, strident sound. Now, you get rid of the apple. You let the wrist breathe. How does the wrist breathe? It drops and it comes level. It moves. And you play from the shoulders. Oh, you get a sound, and you'll hear it in November. You'll get a sound that melts the heart.
Is that
And
the
it's
same
like,
thing with like rock
oh.
and roll piano?
What?
Is that the same thing with like even rock and roll piano? I mean, you got the Jerry Lee Lewis, just the banging on the keys and having fun. I mean, is that kind of the same thing? You still want, you know, in that mind right now, the way that you're talking is just like the Apple kind of would work and everything because you're just banging on the keys of rock and roll, or
Music, it comes from the heart, right?
yeah.
So if you lock the wrist and your body's not moving, you're stiff. You're disconnected from the heart. So if I'm moving my hand and my body and playing with my whole body, I connect to the heart. It's very, very interesting.
I love it. One other thing I wanted you to explain, because I will do it no justice. I loved that you explained to us in one of your previous interviews was the primary and the secondary chords and the primary and secondary colors. You know, all of this combines with your method. Explain how you came up with that.
I had started coloring music very differently in the beginning because I know how important color is to the brain, okay? But I'm an avid reader, and one day I was reading Pythagoras. And I remember walking in my kitchen, holding a book, walking and reading. And Pythagoras made a statement. If we know how to look at nature, we will find a repeated pattern over and over. And so I said, okay, I'll take you up. I used to teach art. I said, let's take art and music. Boing. The biggest light bulb. I mean, I stopped right there and I went, oh my God, I see it. In art, 3 primary colors, right? We're not talking computer colors. We're talking pigments. Okay. In music, 3 primary chords.
Right.
In art, 3 secondary colors. In music, 3 secondary chords. That's too coincidental. Took me a while. I go, this makes sense, but what color goes on, what chord goes on what color? Took me a year to find it. It was simple, but I finally went to my upbringing on a home in North Dakota on a farm and found it.
Oh, that's amazing. You went back to your roots.
Yeah, well,
That's
I was
actually
thinking
very
when I
beautiful.
came, we went to a country school. And when we would walk home in wintertime, we'd see the lights on at home in the house. With the lights on in a house, it felt more like
Home.
home. And in music, there's a home chord. So what's the color of lights? It's closest to
Yellow.
yellow. So I made the yellow chord home.
I feel like I'm in school right now. I know.
And that started the whole thing. I go, well, then, if that's home, and let's put it into a language, if that's a noun, I have to have a verb. Well, red and blue. Verb is action, has to be red. You don't throw a blue flag at a bull. Throw a red flag.
That's true.
So red's the action color. And then that left the blue chord for the 4 chord. And what's fascinating, I didn't know if I was on the right track until I color analyzed the boogie and blues. It's called the blues, right? It literally has more blue chords than red, and it's basically the only music that does that. And it's called the blues.
Yeah.
I went, okay, got to be on the right track. Let's go.
I love it. I love all the colors. And for those of you that are listening, that go check out her website. Go to cerconemusic.com and you will see on her homepage, as I'm looking at, it is bright colors. And what it does to the brain, and even in your books when you teach the kiddos, they are filled with color. And what I have really reminisced on was when we have young children, 1, 2, 3 years old, 4 years old, they are inundated with all these beautiful bright colors. And you brought this up again in your studio, which I've reflected on. And then when you go to grade school, the colors disappear
By 3rd grade.
and it becomes very black and white. And it's for me personally, and I think the majority of us struggle with learning with black and white. It doesn't evoke any emotion. It just is so boring.
It
and
actually
plain,
shuts part of the brain down.
which doesn't surprise me at all. You walk into a locker room for those that are athletes, and it is very bright colors. You want to have an emotion and be connected and get amped up. Or if you want the opposite, if you want to cool down, you have the blues.
Paint the walls gray.
Yeah, well, exactly. And here we have both in the studio because we want actually kind of a similar, and this was all Josh that came up with the colors, and it's to create a certain
But
emotion.
you can use gray as a phenomenal accent color.
For sure.
But when it's the whole color and
it's
the
a lot.
furniture included,
It might as well be a corporate office.
That's why people truly
Yes.
at 3:00 you're like, I'm exhausted and I've done nothing. I'm like, well, look around you. There's nothing to excite you.
nothing to give you energy.
And it's funny too how even last time you were in having an interview, there was actually some teachers that were listening in, and they were fascinated about it. And I looked up when grades start to kind of drop in elementary school and some of the possible reasons for this, and absolutely none of the reasons mention the environment that they're in. They mention absences without permission, identity struggles, fitting in with peers, family conflict, anxiety, depression, lack of sleep, burnout. They don't mention, well, there's nothing on the walls. There's sit down, here's a pencil, here's a paper, take notes, and here's some tests. Whereas before the third grade, it's activities, it's stories,
rooms are colorful.
it's exactly.
Exactly. So it's hard to, people often relegate color to kindergarten. And so you're not in kindergarten anymore. You don't need it. Except sports and advertising.
Oh, yeah.
No, we need it.
And as I told a group of businessmen, which I shared with you before, they said, "Oh, Donna, you make too much of color." And I said, "Really? You watch the Broncos on black and white TV."
Have fun with that.
And the guys, you should have seen their faces. I wouldn't think of it. I said, "Precisely, it's boring.
Exactly.
You can't see who's who. You don't throw the football to a name or a face or a number,
Throw it to a color.
to a color. Because you can see that. And what makes the stands so interesting? They're colorful,
Right.
full of color.
Yes.
So somewhere in the United States, I don't know if it's in other countries, but we have relegated color to kindergarten children. Instead of, this is a phenomenal business tool. This is a phenomenal education tool. We don't study the brain. We tell the brain what it needs. We don't ask. And therefore our children suffer. We suffer.
And even like going into like textbooks and stuff like that, books that kids read, they are really engaged. They really love it because it's pictures and colors, and it's not just white page with black letters.
Exactly.
And I can see how that would just be very boring to our eyes, to our brain.
When you start opening, I've worked with 5 Points kids here, Blackstone Rangers, Chicago, World Art Gang leaders here in Denver. Experimenting. Will this fall apart somewhere? Because I have to know. And it's amazing how it opens the brain. And these kids that you couldn't get to do their homework, all of a sudden love learning. And they look at you and say, "You're the first teacher that makes any sense." Because I opened their brain and showed them an easier... The most fun thing in the world is learning.
Yeah.
It is. It's how we grow
Yeah.
every single day.
And what happened, what amazed me, one time I was teaching retirement people in Windsor Gardens. And I asked them one day, "What is the most fun thing you enjoy?" I was expecting travel, this. Across the board, I got learning. And they were in their 60s, 70s, 80s. The most fun thing for them was learning. Well, that hasn't changed. It happens from the moment we're born till the moment we die. And if we're not learning, we get bored.
There's an interesting quote that I heard lately where it's just, if you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room. You get bored.
I've heard that. Isn't that neat? I agree.
Mm-hmm.
I agree.
I am never bored. That is true. I'm never the smartest in the room.
Yeah, you're in the wrong room.
Yes. I love that about color. And I dropped my kiddo off, who's 5. He starts kindergarten in a week and a half, and he's been at camp at his future school. And they have all these different crafts set up. And there are probably 10 to 15 children there. And they are all huddled around one table. And I'm talking to one of the teachers, and I thought, what are these children doing? And no one tells them to go to a certain place. They just immediately migrate. And I still have some of the splatter of the paint that got on me. And so there are all these colors in the spinning wheel. And of course, it is now all over them and the table, which is beautiful and a really big mess. But they immediately go to the colors.
Yeah.
Because it evokes, and they're having fun and laughing and creating.
Creating.
Yes.
Creating.
It stimulates excitement and fun and engagement, which I think is lost, and why we don't continue. And I'm going to push for this because you have opened my eyes to a very different world that I didn't know existed. I just, you think arithmetic and it's black and white and what is your homework. And if you're engaging and making it a little more fun, and the kid will, or anyone as an adult, it doesn't matter the age.
Well, as I shared with you before, I had this 7th grade boy who was being passed through the public school system, could not do his multiplication tables.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, you're in 7th grade and you can't do your multiplication tables? What's 2 times 2? I don't know. So I asked his grandmother, who was his caretaker, bring his multiplication cards. Mm-hmm. Well, guess what? They were black and white.
Mm-hmm.
Of course.
So I said to him, I had a whole bunch of array of colors. And I said, go over there, think math, and choose a color. What surprised the heck out of me, it was bright psychedelic pink. But I went, okay, you don't judge. You don't know what his brain needs.
Gotcha.
So I printed the multiplication tables on bright pink. 2 weeks later, he came back and he knew them. Now, he's been going from 2nd or 3rd grade through 7th grade, not knowing them.
Mm-hmm.
We put him on bright pink paper. In 2 weeks, he knows them.
Mm-hmm. It's pretty amazing.
I'm going, okay, wake up.
Exactly. And you had those kind of an iridescent paper that we saw at your studio that you would lay over.
Oh, a colored theater spotlight gels.
Translucent.
Okay.
Yeah.
Translucent theater spotlight gels.
And that is absolutely genius. Because again, it's creating the
I read,
color.
did you ever hear of Dr. Dinsha? Dinsha?
No.
He was from India. And I don't know, I forget how he started experimenting with color. But he's a medical doctor. And he surmised somehow that when a person is burned, they have too much red, right?
Yep.
So on the color wheel, what's opposite red? Green. So instead of bandaging them up, he took green filters over the lights, put salve or whatever he needed to on them, and let them lay under the green light. They healed.
Mm-hmm.
A jaundiced baby is too much yellow.
Yep.
What's the opposite of yellow on the color wheel? Purple.
Oh, blue, purple, yep.
A blue baby has too much blue. The opposite of blue is orange. He has a whole book on what colors can heal illnesses.
Mm-hmm. It's true. They put those jaundiced babies in those little tents under lights.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. It's pretty, Color can go a long way. It's pretty amazing.
And that's why our books, every single page, there's color on the page.
Mm-hmm. Very colorful.
And people think, well, color is for kids. Adults don't need it. Oh, yes, we do.
If you go out in nature, it's filled with colors.
And that's what we love about it.
It kind of reminds me, have you ever seen that movie Pleasantville? I'm going to make sure that you leave with that name because it is a wonderful movie. It is actually about a world that's black and white, and then they start
Color.
seeing color and how it changes people and how it changes the town and the world.
Well, did you ever see a person who's colorblind get the special glasses?
Mm-hmm.
And then they can see?
Yep.
The first thing they do is cry.
Oh, yeah.
Of course. Our world is beautiful.
Yeah.
Very much
And they
so.
couldn't see it.
Well, it's definitely a lot more than color what Donna Cercone has done with the Cercone Music Method to get people learning piano at a much, much more accelerated rate. We're going to take a quick break right here, and we'll be right back, and we'll kind of get into more of that. We'll be right with you. All right.
And she goes, okay,
Sorry
I'll
about
finish
that.
the story.
No, we are back, and actually, we should continue with that story real quick because we were saying that it's a lot more than color. But Donna was talking during the break about where she was being evaluated during Douglas County, and I'd like kind of let you take over.
When I got the evaluation back, the results of the evaluation were from outstanding to insulting speaker.
Completely across the board.
Completely across. And I looked at the insulting and I go, how did I insult them? Oops. I talked about color to a PhD. That must have been it.
All right.
Okay. And then this other teacher that I had spoken with, she didn't always accept what but she decided to try the color thing. And she was teaching seniors English.
Mm-hmm.
And she had taken some colored pencils, put them on her desk, and told her kids, when you come in here, you choose a color and you can do your notes in that color. But put them back so the next class can have them. One day she's walking to the class and she said the senior boys were racing, running down the corridor to her classroom. And she said, I am not a popular teacher. When she walked in, they were arguing about who's going to get what color. What colored pencil. They were racing there and hollering at each other, I get this one, I get this one.
It makes a big difference.
It does.
Yeah.
And yeah, I even remember, I didn't do too great in high school and in college. I really wanted to learn and I really liked learning. So I took a class and they said, grab highlighters, different color highlighters, told me how to highlight in a book. You don't highlight a whole sentence, you highlight different words, key things. And so colors are a huge deal on that. And yeah, reading a book that's just white pages with black print, it gives you a headache. And you're just, I'm bored.
Well, what we don't realize, the body is electricity, right?
Mm-hmm.
In my viewpoint, color gets the electricity running in the brain.
Mm-hmm.
I just say color is the electricity of the brain. Turns the lights on.
Right, exactly. It's more stimulation.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It turns the lights on. It connects different areas of the brain that are disconnected without color.
Gotcha. Makes you pay more attention.
I agree.
Yeah.
Well, they've done many studies on this, and I believe we actually talked about this before. You know, our body is made mostly of water, and they've done many studies with water and music and color. And the music instigates a change within the water where it will flow differently and create these beautiful crystal formations depending on what the water is listening to, which I find that stuff fascinating, that water can change like that just by music.
Did you study Dr. Masaru Emoto from Japan?
I studied, no. I won't give myself
read his
that.
stuff.
I have read about it online.
It's amazing.
It is fascinating to me. Yeah, it was a clip that I started just watching and I thought, this can't be true. How does water form these different crystals? And sure enough, there are many studies about it, and it's
and they
so
got the
fascinating.
proof when you look at the crystals.
Exactly. So, I mean, our body has water in it. Of course, it's going to, evoke all of that. So I wanted to definitely let the listeners know how to find you. We've been talking with Donna Cercone with the Cercone Learning Method, and you can find her information online at cerconemusic.com. And her phone number is 303-552-0398. And her studio is located in Aurora. But worry not if you are listening around the world, because you teach all over via Zoom.
Yes.
You have somebody in Australia. Is that
Australia,
correct?
New Zealand, Singapore, Hong Kong, UK.
That's amazing.
Any place where Zoom reaches, we can be.
That's lovely. I love the gift of Zoom when it comes to teaching and learning.
I have a love-hate relationship with Zoom and video calls. I don't like how business is now as video calls. I like old-fashioned shake the hand and, face-to-face. It's still not the same. But when it comes to learning, oh, yeah. That works very well. Well, it's definitely more than just colors. Colors is just kind of an aspect of what you do. Now, one thing that I really like, because I remember taking classes as a kid, I'd look at a sheet and I'd be like, okay, that's an E, okay, E, then that's a G, G, then that's, kind of one by one by one. But you also teach not only the hand positions, but where you can just look up at 3 or 4 or 5 notes and know exactly what it is. And that's one of the biggest things that throws people into over 5 times faster at processing this information. So I wanted to get a little bit into that.
Well, if this truly is a language, we have to have the vocabulary.
Right.
And that's the chords. And we recognize words. We're trained to recognize them. I'm looking at K4CO. My brain sees it automatically, whether I'm talking to you or not. I look up there and I see that because it's in my subconscious.
And it's used to putting letters together very quickly.
So when I found that when I put notes together to form chords, and I started working with them and training myself, and I had to train myself to spell them because spelling is an integral part of a language. You got reading problems, check part of your spelling. And I started recognizing shapes. Now you have to understand the brain again. The first thing the brain sees is shape, not a name.
Okay.
If you're walking down the street, Josh, and I'm a block away, and I go, that looks like
a stop sign.
Josh.
Oh, Josh.
I never
You look like a stop sign, Josh.
I would not say, oh, that's Josh, and that's what he looks like. I never put the name before shape. If you're in a room with 20 people, and you look around and you spot one you don't know, you're going to look around and go, who's that? Can you stop it?
Right.
Because, and I realized this when I was in California. The first time I went to California, I saw wisteria. Well, you don't see wisterias in North Dakota, or now you do here. But I went, oh my God, what's that? Then I saw bougainvillea. Oh my God. And I was just like, what's this? What's this? And the people started laughing at me. They said, Donna, you're just like a little kid. And I went, oh, that's how the brain works. I see a new shape. What do I want? What's the first thing you want? A name.
Yeah.
Want to identify.
The first time I saw a Lamborghini.
Ooh. What color was it?
I was driving.
The Lamborghini?
And my head whipped around and I go, oh, what's that? And then I realized I better watch my road. But the same reaction, a new shape, what's that? We don't do that in music. With language, we've been trained to see words.
Right.
In music, we were trained to see alphabet.
Right.
Not shapes.
Except for like the guitar. That's an exception to the rule.
Except what I'm noticing now is I'm taking classical guitar from Alfredo Muro from Spain. My music background, my reading of chords is helping me like you wouldn't believe. And I can recognize, oh, that's a D minor chord. My hand will go. But when people are playing guitar and they haven't been trained in our Cercone reading process, they don't see it.
Right.
They don't know how, they don't spell chords fast enough. And we have a spelling within the method. So when people can spell and see the chords and we train them in the chords, they look at it and they go, oh, and their hand goes as a unit. They're not looking for 3 or 4 notes. They're looking for one.
Right.
And shaping their hand.
So just like the chord, just like the language, they're looking for the word.
The word.
They're not looking for the individual letters at all.
And it's amazing when you color that and you see it this way. you actually get into the brain of the composer. You get to see, oh, this is how Beethoven was thinking. I see that. Oh, this is Chopin. Oh, this. It's very interesting.
I miss that when I was learning piano at a young age. I would see one note. I wouldn't see the chord.
No, we didn't. I didn't know. I wasn't trained in it.
I wasn't either. It was middle C, and it literally, like, I can do chopsticks pretty well. But it was middle C and almost, yeah, it was that and a lot of one finger kind of a thing. Again, I was young and quit because I was frustrated.
Well, it gets boring.
It was boring. It didn't engage me.
No.
Yeah. I wanted to go run around. And that's what I did. But I do love piano. And honestly, I struggled with math for a very long time.
With math?
With math. Because it was boring to me. It wasn't engaging.
Put it on colored paper. You'll be amazed.
I wish I would have had you as a teacher. I do. I would have learned very differently. Instead of, I'm like, why am I not understanding this? And it wouldn't grasp until I had a teacher that said, we're going to teach you a little bit differently. He didn't really bring in color, but he looked at all of it encompassing. Instead of 2 + 2, it's look at it as an entire unit, which is what you're talking about.
And it helped.
It did help. Yes, very much so. Well, I love it. I'm going to have to get my kiddo into you.
Okay.
To learn piano. He has a much better brain than I do.
Like, he's related.
I think so. He looks a little like me, but that's about it. Yeah, he has a very different brain.
You'd be surprised.
Okay. Maybe he and I both will sit down with you and take lessons, and we'll see who learns faster.
One thing I say when I'm talking about you on the air is, and, as a musician myself, that piano is a great foundation to start with. If you graduate onto other instruments, whether it be guitar or brass instruments or anything like that, guitar is just a really great way to start. Which you just said, it's kind of like the theory, the chords, what you teach. When you know that, guitar even becomes easier.
Oh my gosh, there's no words.
Right, there's no word. And is there, do you find that young kids, first of all, pick it up faster than older people? Because you teach from 5 years old to 95 years old. We joke about 96, that's the cutoff. But do you find that the younger kids actually do absorb this a lot faster than adults do?
No.
Not at all.
If you use the tools of the brain. See, people think color is for kids. So what they really are saying, the brain changed. The brain did not change just because we grew up. It still needs lights. It still needs color. So the adults sometimes can learn even faster than kids because they don't have to want to go out and play. They're willing to put in the time. Though there's no difference between children and adults.
For sure. Well, I'm thinking about stop signs and really stop lights. I mean, you have those primary colors, and when you see red, I have a visceral reaction that I have to stop, or otherwise it will be dangerous. So we have them all the time. So it's interesting to me why people will delete that or not honor that as we get older.
Programming. Exactly. Programming. We don't
have to change the system.
Yep. We don't look. We don't look at the results. This is the way it's always been done. Don't break the rules. But do you like the results? Well, no, but that's the way it is.
Right.
Do you consider yourself a rule breaker?
Oh, yeah.
Ooh. I liked that answer. Okay.
It doesn't make sense. Why am I doing it?
Especially as a musician, breaking the rules is what makes music evolve and better.
And art.
And art,
and
exactly.
Anything,
Anything, exactly.
But it's, how do inventors get something? They look at something and say, we're not getting the results. Is there a better way to do something? Is there a better way? And we keep growing. But we're not doing that in education. I mean, come on. I just heard the other day, before the educational board or something department was formed, the United States was one of the leading countries in education.
Mm-hmm.
Now we're 30th in the 30th bracket or somewhere in that area.
Yeah.
I heard
What
that.
are the, and we're satisfied?
I'm not.
No.
That's the question. Are we satisfied? I wasn't satisfied with my results in piano. I thought poor investment.
Mm-hmm.
I
And
got
we keep looking at the wrong things, which is probably what your teachers did too.
Yeah. This is the way it's always been done. You got to do it this way.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not getting the results. Can I try something different?
Right.
Well, you're breaking the rules. So
I wholeheartedly agree. You know, I mentioned this earlier that my kiddo's going into kindergarten, and I went in several different schools, and I said, show me your books and show me the environment and how is he going to learn? And he is in a school that, I don't know if I would say they're breaking the rules, but they've invented a way that, and there's a lot of color in their books through all of lower school, really, until we haven't gotten to middle school yet. That'll be another chapter in our lives, but there's definitely a lot of color, and it's individual. Again, because you are doing, I know you do classes, but you also do individuals as well. And we all do learn a little bit differently.
Yes.
It's not this blanket coverage. And I bring this up a lot with our interviews, because I find that we are partnered with people that actually will see the individual and say, how are you learning? What can we grab onto your talents, your goals, and work together? And I think that, again, like you said, it doesn't matter if you're 5 or 95, is let's hone in on how you're learning and making it successful.
And the other thing we often don't do is we don't listen to the student. For example, when I'm doing color testing over reading, I take my critical mind the heck out of here. It's what the student can see, whether it's adult or child. And one kid put a dark filter over his thing. He said, oh, I can see. And he started reading. It was obvious he could see because he was reading. The father said, oh, you can't see through that. And I looked at the dad and I said, you
Can't see.
can't see through that. It's perfectly obvious he can. That's his brain, not yours.
Right.
And so there are some schools that were using colored filters, but they relegated it down to 10 colors. That wasn't enough. Sometimes the slightest shade. I work with over 50 colors. Because I learned I can't judge. I don't know which frequency will bring the synapses in the brain back together. And if I'm limited into a choice of 5 or 10 colors, I may not have the right frequency.
That's saying there's 5 or 10 different types of people. That's it.
Yeah, that'd be about
Types
it.
of
Yeah.
learners. Mm-hmm.
And why? Okay, for example, I always felt my hands and brain somehow wasn't connected to the piano. My left hand was lagging behind the right. No matter what I tried to correct, I couldn't correct it. So one day, I tried different colors on my music. I needed a pale mint green over my music. Wasn't enough. So I had a lamp there, so I put 2 or 3 dark shades of green on that. So the green light on my hands, and looking through the green filter, I could still see the colors, but the green filter, all of a sudden it's like, oh my God, my hands are working. It's like, where do you want to go next? They were playing like crazy. I needed it for about 1 year. Then I don't need it. The synapse is connected. Why did I have that lack of synapse? I don't know. But it's not there anymore.
Does it matter why? No. All that matters is the results.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Results. And if we look at the results, we're willing to change. If we look at this the way it's always been done, we're caught in a paradigm.
How long did it take you when you started researching? I know you researched how we learn for a long time, and then you started transferring that to piano. I guess my question is, how long has the Cercone Music Method as it is today been around? How long did it take you to really come up with all of this? Or are you still even learning and making
still
it
learning.
better?
I'm still developing something.
Still making it
It's
better.
over 40 years because, I think this will work. You got to experiment.
Mm-hmm.
And then I could feel the key going into the door, but it didn't turn. And I go, what am I missing? So I pulled the key out. Let's experiment again. And when you feel the key going in and turning, you know you've got it.
Mm-hmm.
But it had to be one experiment after another. And then finally, when the computers came out, being able to computerize the books and getting all that done. And why is this important? How do I want to learn faster? How can I connect my kinesthetic, visual, auditory modes of learning at one time? There's a lot of constant questions I ask myself.
Mm-hmm.
And if a kid isn't learning, I have to watch the kid. What does he need? Is it something for the brain? Is it an emotion, or is it some logic? What does this kid need? I have one woman. She's karate. She's done all kinds of stuff, but when she was a little kid, somehow she fell and hit her head extremely hard on a cement curb. And she was not getting music. She's tense and she wants it desperately. So I put her on the figure 8 walking exercise. You should see the change. I figured, when she told me about that accident, I figured something must have jarred the brain pretty darn hard. And she told me that a lot of things shifted at that point. And so I put her on the figure 8 walking exercises. And last week when she came to lessons, I went, it's not the same person. And she's so excited because she can finally do it.
It's wonderful. I appreciate that you are, no pun intended, but that you can see through a different lens.
That's
you
right.
know, that you can see through a different lens.
Yeah.
I think a lot of times, and I'm guilty of it, that I am seeing the world in tunnel vision, and I'm trying to teach a 5-year-old, but I am teaching him out of my own experience, my own world, and this is how you're going to do it. And what I love about him is he said, he always tries something different. And 9 times out of 10, it's better. It's more efficient. It works much quicker. It makes more sense. I'm like, why have I been doing it all of my life this way? And you just showed me in your innocence and new eyes of how to do it differently.
And have fun doing it.
And he has a lot of fun doing it. And he asks, but he's like you. He asks lots and lots of questions. All the time. Why does it work this way? And how can we not do it differently? And why do people say it this way? It's wonderful to not only to, like you said, it's really listening to your student to say, maybe there is a different way, because I don't know how this other person is going to learn, even though I'm trying to teach them this way. Yeah, figure 8, I would never think that. Or putting a different color down, or put lights on your hands, and just to engage that person's brain in a little different way than what we have been programmed.
Yeah. And for this woman, that hitting her head so hard must have really done some damage.
Of course, yeah.
And what's interesting, as she would walk the figure 8, she'd find herself sobbing. And she's, Donna, is that natural? I said, let it out. And just, the trauma of that accident, I said, let that trauma go. Let it go. And it is so exciting to see her play.
It's pretty amazing.
Accomplishing her dream. That's what I'm there for, to help them accomplish their dream.
At a faster rate.
At a faster
rate.
Yes.
5 times faster, people.
Yeah.
Easier and fast.
Easier,
and
yes. More
faster.
efficient. Exactly. We all want an easier way, and the way that works for us.
But it's easier, it's logical, and it works faster. I've got success in my money investments. I want that.
Yep.
So compare that to that. You want struggle in money investments? No.
Yeah. You just want to make money today.
Everybody wants an easy way, but effective, that's a completely different
It's
story.
effective. I like that word.
Exactly.
Yes.
And I remember speaking with you at your studio where I said, okay, well, how many lessons does it take for people to just start to play like a song? And you're just like, oh, we're kind of right away. I mean, it doesn't take long. So, I mean, you spend very little time, just kind of learning the notes, and then you work right into the chords.
This first or second lesson,
Yeah.
we're into chords.
You're into chords already.
And I had one student, it's very smart, little girl about 7 or 8. Her sister's been taking lessons. This girl did the beginning workshop, did one lesson. I want to play at the concert. Fine. She played at her concert after one piano lesson. She played Mary Had a Little Lamb, 2 hands, C root, G7 chords in the left hand, and played it.
Wow.
Wow.
I cannot do that.
You need one lesson.
I need one lesson. I need a few more.
But I get tired of Mary having a little lamb.
Yeah,
Oh,
exactly.
well, true. Yeah, it's like the ABCs. You
Yeah, I
know,
know.
it's how many times can you hear the kid regurgitate that?
But it's important.
Yes.
I
It is
remember a
important.
lot
It's
of
the
those
foundation.
songs when I was a kid. It's just like, man, these songs are boring.
yeah, like
something
Twinkle
that.
Twinkle Little Star. Yeah, it's all those foundations.
Oh, yeah.
Well, thank you all for listening. And for those of you just tuning in, we've been sitting down with Donna Cercone, and you can find more information about her on her website at cerconemusic.com. And again, those of you listening outside of Colorado, she does offer Zoom classes all over the world, which is pretty fabulous. And again, her phone number is 303-552-0398. And you mentioned a concert, and that is coming up in November.
My own concert, November
Your own
3rd.
concert. Okay. And where will that be?
Classic Pianos on 1390 South Broadway here in Denver. But the whole purpose of that concert is not to show my virtuosity. The whole purpose of this concert is to show music, the various emotions and fun with music, what you can express through music if you have the relaxed body while you're playing. That's what I want to show, because I don't like just watching somebody watch my virtuoso playing.
Well, because you understand, like a lot of musicians do that. You can play the exact same song many different ways, and you can make it a sad song, you can make it a happy song, you can make it an angry song. You can go through all the emotions with the exact same song. It all depends on how you play it and how you perform it. So, and that I think that's beautiful. You can sometimes, I like some remakes. I don't like when people just remake the same song over and over. They make it their own, and they can
Make
take
it their own.
exactly.
Well, Beethoven wants it this way. He's gone. I'm playing.
He's been dead a long time. But how do you want to play this song?
Exactly. What am I feeling here? Well, you shouldn't. That's a fermata. You shouldn't hold it that long. But I felt it.
Right.
I'm at that moment. I'm the composer. And if I can express myself through that music. And one time, my piano teacher was playing a Bach piece, and he said, "That was nicely played, but you're not playing it fast enough." And I finally am learning to stand up for myself. So very respectfully, I said, "I respect that, but did Bach write down the speeds on his songs?" I knew he didn't. He said, "No." I said, "Do we have a recording of Bach?" And I know we don't. No.
No.
I said, "So then who made the rules?" And he said, "Well, Bruno Mugellini spent his whole lifetime studying Bach, and this is what he said."
So
And I said, "I respect that, but I don't hear Bach that way. And if I hear Bach that way, I don't like it." I said, "If I have to play Bach like that, I won't play Bach. I have to play it the way I'm hearing it."
Exactly.
And I was proud of myself. I finally stood up for myself.
Good for you.
Well, you got to do it like this.
No, I don't. Yep. Sometimes you have to reinvent the wheel and make
Yeah,
it personal. And
exactly.
there's nothing wrong with that.
Exactly.
Anything else on the horizon as far as concerts, maybe with some of your
I have to finish a few
students?
more books,
Okay.
get those done.
Wow, a few more books. Okay.
About 3 or 4. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
and
Good
and
for you.
music, and then my own playing, and then my own concert coming up, and then we'll see what else opens up.
Okay. Sometimes you have concerts for your students.
Oh yes, twice a year.
Twice a year. Okay. And are those already done for the year, or is there
No,
one
we
still
have
coming
October 21, I think.
up? Okay.
The Sunday in October.
Okay. October 21st.
We always have 2.
Okay. Wonderful. So if our listeners want to jump in now, they still have, do they have time to possibly be in this concert?
And what we're doing with our students is we're really developing repertoire.
Okay.
Because this is the way the brain works. Somebody says, "Oh, you play the piano, Donna. This is the old way." Yeah. Can you play me a song? Well, the first thing I think about is the song I'm learning, not ready to play.
Right.
The second thing I think about is the songs I've learned. I haven't touched them for a long time. I go, I don't know where they're at. No, I can't play anything, is what I would say. And I go,
No, play it.
I'm taking lessons for 7, 8, 9, 10 years and I can't play anything.
Exactly.
And so I have really been pushing repertoire and giving awards. One of my boys who's going to be in 7th grade this year has a repertoire of 75 songs.
Nice.
And he goes, I didn't know I knew that many. I said, I know you didn't. Sit down and play them now. And they love. In fact, sometimes they come back. I didn't do anything but repertoire, but they're playing,
Exactly.
not practicing. Play. I didn't take piano to practice forever.
I want to play.
Put your
I want
skill
to play.
use.
Isn't that the professional things I want to play?
Exactly.
And I'm really excited about that because it's making them cognizant of what they've learned. And friends come over with the parents. Oh, my son takes piano lessons. Can you play? Yeah. What do you want to hear? I can play a whole bunch of songs. And they have to memorize at least 5 of them the Cercone way, so that if they go to somebody else's house and they see a piano, they can play.
That's wonderful. And it teaches of all ages to lean into the vulnerability and to build the confidence.
Yes.
We had a lovely woman yesterday come in, Julie Savannah, and she has sang in Nashville, beautiful voice. And so she sang 2 acoustically for us, and then she performed, well, I started tearing up with one of them, and then one was new that she was just learning. And I'm so proud and with moments like that when people can say, because we have these high expectations of ourselves. If it's not perfect, I'm not going to do it. And I'm like, do it. And it's okay. However you show up in the moment is amazing.
The arts, we never see people practicing.
Right. We see the
In
after,
sports,
right?
we see them practicing. So you fumbled football, so do it again. John Elway fumbled the football. Fine. Better luck next time. He still made $7 million a year.
Nice.
Piano player, he played a wrong note.
Well,
How many right ones did I play?
exactly. Why do we focus on
Exactly.
the detriment?
They expect that perfection
Why?
from the arts.
You are right. We never see musicians practice. We
I
only see the
myself, I
final
won't
product.
practice in front of somebody.
Yeah, well, why would you? I mean, when I play guitar, when I'm practicing guitar or trying to get something down, I don't play it in front of other people. I'm just sitting there by myself learning it. And then great thing about music, though, is even if, say, you do mess up, you can turn it to where people didn't even notice.
Exactly. Most of the time, no one knows at all.
Unless you stop the rhythm.
Exactly.
Right, exactly.
Or
you
if
stop.
they smile or laugh, and then you kind of that gives it, which I do. I'm like, oh, I'm just gonna mess that one up. But we're all human. We all have our moments.
But we're focusing on the perfection of the notes instead of what the rhythm and what the song was trying to portray. If I'm looking at your picture up there, I don't know if one line's out of whack or not.
Right. But I would, because
If you
I
be the
helped
artist.
design it. Yeah,
You designed
exactly.
it. Okay. But I'm looking at it and appreciating the picture, the whole.
Right.
Exactly. Look at the whole thing. I love it.
Well, we've been speaking with Donna Cercone, the Cercone Learning Music Method, and learn piano at least 5 times faster, and just give it a shot. You can call the Cercone Learning Music Method at 303-552-0398. They do have their studio in Aurora. That's 3000 South Jamaica Ct, but you can go
Zoom,
anywhere.
we can. And if we have somebody right now who lives way out southwest Denver. So maybe she comes in once a quarter and the rest we do on Zoom.
Yeah,
Somebody in Longmont, Fort Collins, makes no difference.
Maybe one of these days your student in Australia will fly out just to, hang out.
She did fly out one
She
time.
did fly out
Yeah,
one
she
time.
did.
I think you need to fly there.
Not yet.
And
Not
take
yet.
me.
Okay, I know. Please take us. I mean, it's only like a 14-hour flight.
Yeah.
I know. That's
Yeah. It is lovely. Well, we love chatting with you. I could
Thank
talk
you.
with you all day. It's like you're a warm, fuzzy bunny.
Thank you.
That's
And thank
teaching
you for
and
telling me.
Exactly.
inspiring.
It's
Thank you.
wonderful.
It
And you got
is.
your website, cerconemusic.com.
No, Cercone. Isn't it Cercone Learning?
Cercone. I have Cercone Music.
It gets redirected to Cercone Learning. It's okay.
Okay.
CerconeMusic.com or Cercone Learning.
Yeah, and then on Facebook you are Cercone Learning Music Method.
Mm-hmm.
Is there, and so we see the website, we see the telephone number. Is there an email if somebody likes email, wanted to just contact you guys at all, or
Send it to Donna at Cercone, my last name, .us, like United States.
Donna at Cercone, CERCONE .US.
US, like United States.
You got it. All right. Well, it's always such a pleasure
Well,
speaking
thank you,
with you.
both of you, so much.
Thank you for coming into the studio. And if you wanted to learn more or see some more interviews, we do have quite a few up on K4CO's YouTube page. And you can actually see their studio. And a lot of it really is just about how we effectively learn. And she just transferred that to the wonderful instrument piano. So thank you very much.
Thank
I
you.
really appreciate it. Everybody stay tuned. We got a great day of music ahead for you. So, the best is yet to come. Happy Friday, everybody.